Welcome to the Michael Saunders & Company dotloop agents new listing video, where we will cover how to create a new listing loop and submit it to the office. This tutorial will go over how to create a new listing loop, prepare the documents, send them to your seller for signature, and then submit those documents for review to the office. The first thing we want to do is go to Add Loop. Here we want to enter the property address. And we see that Google Maps will bring up the property. Here we want to select a loop template. You must select a loop template if this is going to be submitted to the office. The loop template not only holds the documents that you need, but it will preload in any administrative staff that will be involved in the loop, as well as the workflow that they need to move your transaction along. Today, I'm going to select the single family home listing package and hit continue. Here we'll upload a photo of the property and hit done. Click on View Loop. Upon looking at our loop, we see that the property address is at the top. It is a listing for sale. Right now, this is a pre-listing because we have not gotten the agreement signed yet. And then if we just scroll down the loop, we see the listing documents folder and all the documents that you need for the listing. We also see the contract documents folder, which will come into play once you get an offer. We have an accounting folder, but this is for internal use only. Please do not use this folder or put anything in here. This is for the office staff only. The next section is the local service providers. You can choose an MSC mortgage rep. You can choose a home warranty representative and then an escrow and title person. Now, the escrow and title are those that are assigned to your office, but you can choose a different escrow title person in MSC title if you wish. The people section is going to have everyone involved in the loop. And there is a task section where you can add any task that you need to do pertaining to this particular loop. Upon creating the loop, the very first thing you want to do is go to View Details. Here is where all the information about the property and those involved are going to be. It is important to fill as much information out as possible in this section to save time later. The first section we come up to is People. The People section has a list of pre-designated email addresses. Do not edit or remove these people. They are needed by the office staff to move your loop forward. It is also important to never add your administrative staff, the office manager, or the coordinator to your loop. Everyone on the company side are already added here. So the only people you need to worry about here are the sellers, any co-listing agents, an assistant, or later if you want to add the buying agent and buyer. Let's add the seller. Go to Add Person, and here we'll type in their name. We'll set the role as seller. And then we can fill in their phone number, their property address, if there are two sellers, click Add Person again, but this time, let's put it in as a trust. And then you would be the listing agent. We've already got the property address in here, but we're missing the tax ID. So go to your county tax records. Pull up the property. And here we can copy the property information. Put in the purchase price. If there's a sales commission rate, if there's a split, add an expiration date. The listing date, if it's going to be listed a week from now. The original sales price. If there is a balance on the mortgage. Any association dues. If there is a homeowners association. You can also add what's included in the property, what's excluded in the property, and any additional remarks. The legal description, we would just go back to the tax record. We can copy it and then paste it here. The same with the subdivision. We can figure out the year that it was built, how many bedrooms, square footage, school district, and then save. We'll go back to our loop, and now with all the information that we have, we will start preparing the documents. Again, we have what is required for the initial submission to the office, but then the R in front of a form indicates that is required to complete the listing packet. So although it is not required upon the initial submission, any document with the R in front of it is needed to complete the listing packet. Now, we can see that some of these forms are bold and clickable. And if we click on them, it will open the interactive form and we can autofill against any information that we've put into the view details section. Now, there are some slots that are gray and not clickable. These are called placeholders. There are two types of placeholders. The first type of placeholder is where you need to choose which form is appropriate for this loop. There are three seller's property disclosures: the standard disclosure, the unoccupied, and then the unimproved. Here you need to choose which of the three that you need for this particular loop. The second type of placeholder is if the document is coming from an outside source, such as the tax record. To satisfy these placeholders, we need to add them into the loop. For any form that is a Michael Saunders form, Stellar MLS form, or a FARBAR form, they will be in dotloop. If we hover our mouse over where it says required, it will turn into add file. Click on add file and it will give you two options: templates or computer. If it's a form within dotloop, it will be under templates. Let's go to the Michael Saunders and Company Master Documents folder, and then we can search for seller's property disclosure. And we see that we've got the unoccupied, unimproved, and the regular statement. If you notice, every form has a number at the end of it. It is usually easiest and fastest to search by the form number. We'll bring in form 311, which is the standard document. And now this grayed out slot is now bold and clickable. And when we go into it, it will bring up the standard seller's property disclosure. The second placeholder for the tax roll will have to go to the county records. Let's go to print summary. We want to print this as a PDF. Depending on what web browser you're in, you might have several options of PDF printers. Any of them will do as long as it's a PDF. We will pick Microsoft Print to PDF. Hover over the required verbiage, which will turn into Add File. And this time we will pick Computer. And now it has gone from a gray slot to a bold clickable slot that will open up to our tax records that we saved. And now let's scroll down to make sure there's no other placeholders that are required of us. Doesn't look like it. Perfect. Now that we have the documents that we need, let's prepare them for the seller. Let's select some of the required documents that we might need and have the seller go over. And then we can hit open. The window to autofill will pop up. It will already have your seller 1, seller 2, the listing agent, the property address, purchase price, the address of the listing agent's office, the address of the seller, expiration date, list date, original price, legal description, subdivisions, and bathroom and beds. We'll go through this whole list of documents and fill in everything that we know about this property. Now, any of this is editable, or if you need to, you can add a strike through. You can add initial boxes if you do a strike through and assign them to your sellers. But any of the standard initials will be pre-loaded into the document. So go through, fill everything out. Now, we are upon the seller's property disclosure statement, and as the agent, we are not legally allowed to fill any of this information out for our sellers. And as you can see, as the agent, we are not able to click on any of these fields. That is by design. However, when we share this with our sellers, they will be able to complete this. My recommendation when having the sellers fill out the seller's property disclosure is to have one person complete the form, including typing in both sellers' name. And then the second seller will just initial and sign. If the second seller types in their name here, it will knock out the initials and signatures of the first seller, and then the first seller will have to initial and sign after the second seller again. My recommendation is to have the first seller fill everything out, including typing in the name of the second seller. This way, the second seller only has to initial and sign the document. Go through the rest of the documentation and make sure that everything is filled out that you, the agent, can do. The mold addendum is similar to the seller's property disclosure. As the agent, you're not able to fill any of this information out. Only the seller, upon sharing it with them, will they be able to fill this out. So we'll just say that everything is filled in, and we will save and share with our sellers. We can see under documents, all the documents that we're sharing with our sellers. We can choose one or both sellers. Again, when it comes to the seller's property disclosure, go ahead and let them know that only one of them should be filling the document out, including typing the name of the second seller under the foreign sellers section. Share these documents as can sign only. Never give them can fill and sign. Only can sign. Now, I know that the seller's property disclosure, the mold addendum, the lead-based paint, those need to be completed by the seller. However, those forms are specially designed for the seller to fill out under the can sign option. Now let's share these documents with our seller. Hit done. And now let's see what the sellers would see. As the seller, I will get an email that says, please review the documents for my property. I'll get a button that says view all documents, and it will take me to dotloop with the list of all documents. At the top, it will go to start signing and take me to the first initial. At this point, it will ask me to confirm my name and my initials, or if I wanted to, I could draw my signature. Of course, it looks terrible, so we'll not do that. We'll type the signature and adopt and sign. It'll go to the next initials and then the next. And then it will go through everything that I need to do. Now, on the seller's property disclosure, we can see here that as the seller, I can click on any of these fields. Again, I do recommend that the first person that is completing this form type in their name along with the second seller's name. And obviously, if they choose yes on one of these, they can type into the field and enter in their explanation. Now, say that they don't know all the information that it is asking, they can say that I'm done. They can say I'm done, and it will let them know of any signatures and initials that they have missed. They can click on show me and it will go to those signatures and initials, or they can say skip. For this particular example, I'm going to hit skip and then say I'm done. I don't know the answer to some of this stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that I'm done so I can find that information. It says you're done, and a window will pop up asking them if they want to sign up for an account. They can simply click on the X to X out of it. And then they can hit the back button if they want to see the list of documents that have been shared with them. They can see what is waiting for them to complete. They can see you as the listing agent and both sellers. But I need to go and do some research to find the rest of the answers for that seller's property disclosure. So I'm going to come back to my signing after I have found that information out. As the seller, I get notified that I have signed the listing agreement, but I've only partially signed the seller's property disclosure. So when I have found all the information that I need for this particular document, I can go in and hit review. And then I can pick up from where I left off and say, okay, I found all the information I need. Because it has been edited, it's going to say that it's going to clear out all signatures on this form. That's fine. It will not clear out any of the selections or typed in information that they have already put in. But if there are any edits or new selections to it, it will have them reinitial and re-sign the document. But that's fine. Just say, I'm sure, and then they can continue through the document to complete it. Because the seller's property disclosure is specially designed for the seller to fill in, every single field is assigned to them. As you can see, there are 102 fields on this document for the seller. Obviously, not every single one is going to be filled in by them, because if the answer is no, there's no need to fill in an explanation. So you will need to be mindful that they have gone through and initialed every single spot. It is one of the caveats of having it being able to be digitally filled out. The seller will click on I'm done. Just click out of that. The sellers do not have to click on share. It will automatically go back to you, the listing agent. They just simply need to either close this out or hit the back button to go to the loop. The seller can see that there are still documents waiting on them to sign. So they can go in here, select the things that state waiting on you, and open them. They can hit the start signing button and go from where they left off. And then they can click on I'm done. Now they can accidentally skip a field. However, if they skip an initial, it will notify them that they've skipped an initial or signature. But fields, they will not be notified if they accidentally miss a field. That will be up to you, the agent, to ensure that they have filled everything out properly. Again, when they're done, they do not have to share it. They just can go back to the loop. And at this point, they can see in their list of documents that everything has been completed as far as the first seller is concerned. If the sellers wanted to, they could select all the documents. They can open them, print them, download them, or share them with, say, their attorney. Let's go and take a look at what this would look like as far as a trust or a power of attorney. They will get an email that 14 documents have been shared with them, and they can click on View All Documents. When they go to Start Signing, the very first initial box will give them the option to change their name. So if they need to sign as their actual name, they can do so here. However, any place that it is printed, we will see that it is printed as the trust. And then the first seller filled everything out for us, so we don't need to type anything or make alterations. Again, if we were to make alterations to this document as the second seller, it's going to say, making changes to this form will clear all signatures on that form when you're done, and you will have to send it back to the first seller. But because the first seller filled everything out for us, we shouldn't have to type anything in. And again, one of the caveats of the seller's property disclosure and the mold addendum and the lead-based paint is that all fields are assigned to them. So although this is filled out, it is going to ask them to take a look at it because it is assigned to them. However, they do not need to fill anything out because the first seller has done it, so they can just skip over all of that unless they want to look at it and ensure that it is correct. And then when all signatures and initials have been completed, they can hit I'm done. It will ask them if they would like to sign in, create an account. They can X out, and then they can go back to their loop and see all the documents that have been shared with them, the seller, and themselves. They can also print, download, or share the documents. As the agent, I will get notified that my sellers have signed their documents. And yes, you will get an individual email for every document that they've signed. And yes, your sellers will get an individual email for every document that they have signed. So as the agent, I see all the documents. As the seller, I see the documents that I've signed. As the other seller, I see those documents which I have signed as well. As the agent, once I've gotten all the notifications that the documents have been signed, I go back to my loop and I can see that I am not waiting on anyone to sign any of the shared documents. At this point, everything is ready, and we just need to submit this to the office. We go to the top and we click on Submit for Review. We want to submit the listing documents folder, which has all of the documents that our seller has signed. There is no reason for us to touch this, as that is an internal workflow. So we'll just check this box. We can send a message to our coordinator to let them know that this has been submitted and hit submit. Now, everything that was read and not submitted has now turned into submitted, waiting on your admin for review. At this point, we just wait for the admins to go through the documentation for the manager to sign off on them, and then any communications in regards to missing information and or whether or not it has been an approved listing and active in the system. If at any time you need to submit more paperwork, such as the Stellar MLS Residential Listing Data Entry Form or the lead-based paints, you can go in here at any time, open these up, fill them out with the autofill information, fill in anything that the autofill did not fill out, and then submit this to your sellers for signatures if there are signatures that are necessary. And then again, submit them using the Submit for Review button. Anytime you need a document to go to the office, hit Submit for Review. Anytime you see that it says Not Submitted, that means you need to hit Submit for Review. As the listing agent, I see that I got a note from my coordinator that says missing initials on line 65. When I click on View Note, I will see that admin for the Anna Maria Island office has sent me a note on the exclusive right of sale listing agreement telling me I'm missing initials on line 65. I can write back to her. And now I can see that it has been returned and that I need to get those initials on line 65 sent to my sellers. So now I need to assign these to my seller. And then I need to save and share this with them. As one of the sellers, I get an email that says I need to review this form and I need to start signing. And that's it. As the second seller, I will also get an email that says I need to review the exclusive right of sale listing agreement. I go to View Document, start signing, and it will only take me to the initials that are missing. Hit Finish, and done. As the agent, I can see that they have signed those two initials, and I can go back to my loop and see that it has been signed and back to not submitted. When it says not submitted, we want to go back to Submit for Review. Again, the listing documents folder, and it's gone back to submitted. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or concerns, please email tsr@michaelsaunders.com.